Every rock band has a drummer. The Grateful Dead had two. And look, it wasn't just to be different or some gimmick. This was a sound that no other rock band had actually tried before, and it fundamentally changed how rhythm could work in a live setting. But here's the part that gets me. Mickey Hart and Bill Kreutzmann were already friends before any of this happened. They'd met at a Count Basie concert, hit it off immediately, and ended up drumming on signposts and parked cars after the show like a couple of kids. Hart even moved into Kreutzmann's apartment, the same apartment he shared with Phil Lesh. But he still wasn't in the band. Then came September 29, 1967, the Straight Theater in San Francisco. They'd actually billed the show as the Straight Theater School of Dance to avoid permit issues. Very dead move. And during the second set, Kreutzmann just invited Hart to sit in. They opened with Alligator that segued into Caution. Two drum kits, two completely different approaches to rhythm. And somehow, it worked. By the end of the night, Jerry Garcia told Hart they could take it around the world. That's how Mickey Hart joined the Grateful Dead. And this is the story of why the band needed two drummers, how they created this rhythmic language that felt almost telepathic, and the family betrayal that nearly destroyed the whole thing.
Of it, the absolute power, and two people are tracking each other or playing polyrhythms. That was the most important thing. We could split the band in half.
Bill Kreutzmann would later say something that kind of puts the whole thing in perspective. No rock band used two drum sets before. Think about that for a second. The Beatles had one drummer. The Stones had one drummer. The Who had one drummer. Every major rock band up to that point, one kit, one person keeping time. The Grateful Dead just doubled it. So what did two drummers actually do that one couldn't? It's a fair question. Mickey Hart brought something Bill Kreutzmann didn't have, and Kreutzmann had something Hart didn't. Kreutzmann was the anchor. He kept a traditional drum kit and played a steady groove with shuffle and triplet feels, the kind of drumming that holds a band together when things get chaotic. And things got chaotic a lot with the Dead. Hart brought electronics, world percussion, and Indian rhythms. Between 1968 and 69, Hart studied with a tabla master named Ustad Alla Rakha. He learned 7/5 and 11/9 polyrhythms, odd time signatures that most Western rock bands wouldn't even touch. And he brought all of that into the Dead's jams. Hart explained it in interviews years later. He and Kreutzmann didn't just play at the same time, they had a conversation. They locked up and entrained. Sometimes it felt telepathic. Bill is the anchor, Hart said. Our conversation was all in body language and winks. Kreutzmann confirmed it. We watch each other. We make sure we can see each other's drums really well. It's critical to be hitting right on the money. They tried everything to sync up. Hart even mentioned they experimented with hypnosis to mesh their drumming at a subconscious level. I mean, of course they did. But the real key was trust. Playing with another drummer takes trust, Hart said. You have to give yourself up to the common beat. Otherwise, you just beat stuff up. They didn't beat stuff up. Kreutzmann kept the traditional kit. Hart added talking drums, electronic pads, beam instruments. One drummer was acoustic, the other was experimental. And together, they became what fans started calling the Rhythm Devils. Hart described their role simply: we propel it, we're the engine room. We pump the blood to the veins of the Grateful Dead. The band started developing these extended drum segments in their live shows, what would later become the famous Drums in Space sections. Two drummers weren't just playing the same beat twice as loud. They were creating layers, polyrhythms, conversations, a sound that could split apart and come back together. Now here's where things get complicated. March 1970. The Grateful Dead's manager disappeared with approximately $155,000 of the band's money. His name was Lenny Hart, Mickey Hart's father. Lenny had been managing the band's finances. He hid the money in multiple accounts and fled. The band scrambled to figure out what the hell had happened. Mickey Hart was devastated. It wasn't just about the money, though $155,000 was a lot in 1970. It was about trust. The band had trusted his father, and his father had betrayed them. By July 1971, Lenny Hart was located in San Diego and arrested. He was later convicted of embezzlement and sentenced to 6 months, which honestly seems light, but the damage was done. February 18, 1971. The Capitol Theater in Port Chester. Mickey Hart played his last show. The setlist that night actually featured the debut of several classics: Bertha, Greatest Story Ever Told, Wharf Rat, Playing in the Band. Mickey Hart's last show, until October 20, 1974. For nearly 3.5 years, the Grateful Dead went back to one drummer. Bill Kreutzmann held down the rhythm section alone. The band kept touring, they kept recording, but the Rhythm Devils were gone. October 20, 1974, Winterland Arena in San Francisco. The show was billed as The Last One, a farewell concert before the band took an extended hiatus. But something happened that night that nobody expected. Mickey Hart came back. He didn't play the first set, but he returned for the second and third sets, and when he sat down behind the drum kit next to Bill Kreutzmann, something shifted. The setlist that night included Playing in the Band that segued into drums, then Not Fade Away, then back into drums, then The Other One, then Wharf Rat, and finally back to Playing in the Band. One fan who was there later described the drum solo in vivid terms. He thought an earthquake was happening. The building shook. The Rhythm Devils were back. And when the band came out of their hiatus, Hart was with them full-time. The rhythmic experiments Hart and Kreutzmann had started in the late 60s were now a core part of every Grateful Dead concert. Extended drums and space segments became standard. The two drummers weren't just keeping time anymore, they were performing within the performance. March 28, 1981. Grugehall in Essen, Germany for Rockpalast, this German television program. During the drum segment, the Flying Karamazov brothers came on stage and juggled while Hart and Kreutzmann played. It was theatrical, it was experimental, and it showed how far the concept had evolved. 8 years later, July 4, 1989, the band played Rich Stadium in Buffalo. The show was filmed and later released as Truckin Up to Buffalo. The Drums into Space section that night is considered one of the best examples of mature Rhythm Devils interplay. If you want to understand what two drummers could do together, that's where you go. By that point, Hart and Kreutzmann had been playing together for over 20 years. Hart explained it in a 2016 interview. "We're different people. We love each other's technique, and it goes together really well. There's a kind of chemical thing." Kreutzmann agreed. "We're telepathic. We have our own internal conversation." They didn't talk about drumming, they winked and nodded. After the Grateful Dead ended in 1995 following Jerry Garcia's death, both drummers kept playing. They formed The Other Ones, then The Dead, then Further, and eventually Dead and Company. Through all of it, the two-drummer lineup remained. But the question is still worth asking. Why did it work? Hart gave one answer. It was the mass of it, the absolute power. Two people tracking each other, playing polyrhythms. We could split the band in half and somehow magically come together. Kreutzmann gave another. We watch each other. We make sure we can see each other's drums really well. It's critical to be hitting right on the money. And Hart added one more thought that might explain everything. He doesn't play like me, and I don't play like him, but we just like each other a lot. Two drummers, two completely different styles. One traditional, one experimental. One acoustic, one electronic. One anchor, one explorer. And together, they created a sound that became one of the defining elements of the Grateful Dead's live experience. There's this myth among Deadheads that the first show with two drummers featured a 2-hour Alligator jam. Some fans swear it happened. Others are skeptical. One fan on the Internet Archive forum put it simply, it probably just felt like 2 hours. Whether the jam was 2 hours or 20 minutes doesn't really matter. What matters is that on September 29, 1967, something happened at the Straight Theater that changed the Grateful Dead forever. 2 drummers, 1 sound, and a rhythmic conversation that would last for nearly 30 years. Jerry Garcia was right. They took it around the world.